Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Gridiron. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. Once again, I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link in there somewhere. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 10,300 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied, I promise. Well, so 4 went up, 3 went down. The only survivor, the New York Giants. How about those cowgirls? How about those homo tush push Eagles? Huh? How about those Commanders? Huh? They all lost, except for the Giants. Giants right back in, right? And only 2 games out of first place. Long way to go and all that stuff, Harry. But Bears went in there and took care of business tonight, beat the Commanders. Caleb Williams, I like to paint my fingernails. Abdul and Jaden Dane. I thought he was supposed to be the greatest quarterback of all time. What happened? What's going on, Jaden? You guys are 3-3. What's going on? Huh? You're not looking too good, huh? But but we got a big game. This is a big one. Big one. This is if we can go out there, if we can beat the Broncos, boy, this would be a, I don't want to say statement, but I mean that would. Whew. Now, of course, the problem is we got the Broncos and we got the Eagles. So I mean, it would if the Giants have any type of playoff aspirations, it would behoove the Giants to go at least 1-1 out of these next 2 games. But if you can go on the road, hey. If we were to lose to the Eagles in Philadelphia, as long as we don't get blown out like 51-3 or something like that. If it's a relatively close game, we lose 27-20, 24-17. Hey, I can live with that. We went 1-1 against the Eagles. You got to tip your cap to the Eagles. They got a great team, right? They've been pretty lucky as far as all their wins so far this year. And they could be 0-6. But if we go 1-1 with the Eagles, I can deal with that, right? But if we can go on the road and we can beat the Broncos, and we'll talk about their pass rush here in a bit, boy. If we can go on the road and beat the Broncos, boy, that would be really nice. Really nice. The nice thing is, of course, the Giants got the few extra days off. Now, you got the short week. The Eagles had the short week. The Giants had the short week. So the Giants, obviously prevailed with coming out with the W, right? But now we got it's like 10 days or so off. So we got some time to recuperate. Anybody, a little banged up, nicked up or whatever like that, hopefully we can, get some guys back. It'll be interesting to see if John Michael Schmitz can come back. Slayton with that hamstring, we got some guys a little nicked up, but nothing too absolutely horrible as far as what I know anyway. So, but this here, right? Of course, like at the time, it doesn't seem like it's anything really bad or whatever like that. But I mean, it just, things happen, right? Throughout the course of the season or the seasons, something happens, and then of course it winds up being something bad, right? And then everybody, it gets made an example of, right? So this here, quite possibly here, is going to be that example, right? I remember the time that stupid moron Brian Daboll, the coach, remember the coach of the Giants, remember he stuck his head, hey, what's going on here? How's it going? Hey, yeah, remember they lost a draft pick because of that? Yeah, we can't be doing it, right? So this might be the example that gets set for the rest of the league and the Giants and all of that. And, I mean, you're not supposed to. It's like the no enter zone, right? Do not cross this line. And like I think Scatterboo was poking his head in there, and Daboll's going in, and so it was not the right thing to do. I mean, I can understand what Daboll. I guess he was talking about, like it was. He was probably going to go for it on fourth down and maybe burn a timeout if it was going to be really fast. If Dart could get out of there real, but so this will be a lesson learned for the Giants, a lesson learned probably for the rest of the league and all of that with this blue tent. They take it pretty seriously. And the thing is Mr. Mara, okay, is on the other side of it. We're going to talk about that just as I start reading this article. So I mean. It's hopefully will be interesting to see. Hopefully, it's not anything where you wind up losing like a first or a second round pick or something like that. Because the Giants could use all the picks they can get. So if they are to lose a pick, hopefully it's a later round pick. Hopefully, right? Because they lose it like a first round pick because of this. I mean, it's not as bad, well, from what I think anyway, as like, doing some tampering or something like that. You know what I mean? So, if you would, those seem to, you pay the penalty for with tampering and all that. I mean, hopefully just sticking your, head in there, hey, how's it going or something like that or whatever is but it's like, I don't know. It's like getting you park in a handicap space, right? The first initial is like could probably possibly a $250 fine. The second offense could be $250 fine plus some community service. The third offense is that you might have to spend some jail. So it's like each offense gets worse. So maybe this is like the top, right? The top, right? It's like maybe a fine, $100,000 fine or something like that. Okay. But it's hopefully Brian Daboll doesn't do this ever again. But the Giants could face massive punishment as an NFL investigates the Jaxson Dart situation. The Giants may have finally found their franchise quarterback in Jaxson Dart, and head coach Brian Daboll couldn't hide his excitement. Yep. The 25th overall pick led the Giants to their first win of the season in Week 4, followed up by helping the New York topple the defending Super Bowl champions Philadelphia Eagles in Week 6. And I venture to guess we would have beaten the Saints if we didn't have the 842 turnovers. Right. However, Dart briefly left the field for concussion protocol during the Eagles game, prompting Daboll and rookie running back Scatterboo to rush to the sideline 10. Those actions could carry significant repercussions for the Giants, and they could even lose a draft pick. What happened during Jaxson Dart's concussion protocol incident? Well, Dart left the field late in the third quarter of Week 6 game after taking a hard hit from Patrick Johnson that forced him into Eagles defender Azeez Ojulari. Dart grabbed his head on the turf, but was able to jog off under his own power and entered his blue medical tent for evaluation. Daboll and Scatterboo both entered the tent while Dart was being assessed, raising immediate concerns about compliance with NFL concussion protocol. The head coach was even seen arguing with physician Dr. Scott Rodeo, or Rodeo, I'm not sure, both clarified later that he had apologized to him. I apologized directly to our team physician, Daboll said after the game. We were getting ready to go for it on a potential fourth down. I would have burned a timeout if he could have come out, if he could have came if Dart would have been available. We would have burned a timeout, right? Given Dart whatever time to get out, get his helmet on, go back in the game. But I was asking how long it was going to take. You want your guy out there, not at risk of anything, though. I just stuck my head in to see how our quarterback was doing. Daboll ate it Friday. I mean, it's funny. It's like you don't see anybody else do this. You know what I mean? It's just in no way would I want a player to come back out there that wasn't ready to play. I have great respect for that process. However, the NFL has strict rules forbidding coaches or players from entering the medical tent during a concussion evaluation. According to Tom Pelissero, the league has initiated a joint review with the NFLPA and warned in a memo to all 32 teams that violations motivated by competitive considerations could result in reprimand, remedial training, fines, and or the loss of draft picks. Now, hopefully, it just, as I said, it's like, if you go into, a handicap parking spot, right, and you got a sign there, first offense, $250 fine. Say second offense, $250 fine, up to maybe 30 days in jail or whatever, right? Third offense, but so each offense gets worse. So hopefully it's you get a little slack on the wrist. I mean, $100,000 fine, right? But hopefully it's not a loss of a draft pick. That would not be good. That would not be good. The NFL is taking this very seriously. No one is allowed to go in. The league called the NFLPA next morning to start a joint review, and the Giants face a potential fine and also the possibility of a lost draft pick depending upon how this plays out, Pelissero reported. Hopefully it's just a fine. Given Daboll's admissions that he was trying to gauge Dart's readiness for a potential fourth down play, the Giants are bound to face some kind of fine, with the possibility of losing a draft pick also open. Meanwhile, Dart, who was ranked 29th in PFSN's QB impact metric, re-entered the game early in the fourth quarter and finished with 17 out of 25 for 195 yards and one touchdown while adding 58 yards rushing and another score to lead the Giants to their second win of the season. So, what we got here? All right, here we go. We got a little bit more here. All right, this is from the New York Post, right? The NFL sent out a reminder about the league's concussion protocol requirement following Brian Daboll's actions. Giants head coach had to apologize for his behavior during the team's 34-17 win over the Eagles. While quarterback Jaxson Dart was being evaluated for a concussion, Daboll could be seen yelling at team physician and peering his head into the blue medical tent. The concussion protocol explicitly requires that only medical personnel deemed essential to the care of the athlete may be present for the tent and or locker room evaluation. In other words, stay the out. This includes a team physician best qualified to evaluate concussion, the club's assistant trainer, and the sideline unaffiliated consultant. The memo, which was obtained by Pro Football Talk, said no other individuals are permitted in the tent or locker room during evaluation. This includes coaches, front office personnel, and or other players. Clubs are responsible for ensuring compliance with this requirement. Daboll explained that he wanted to know how long the evaluation would take on his fourth down decision when his fourth down decision loomed. The NFL initiated a review into the incident on Friday, which will be conducted jointly with the Players Association to investigate whether the Giants and Daboll adhered to concussion protocol in clearing Dart to return to the field. Teams can be fined up to $150,000 for first violations of the protocol. So I think the Giants would take $150,000. I mean, I couldn't do that, right? But hopefully the teams can be fined up to $150,000 for first violations. This would be a first violation. Okay, hopefully the Daboll going in is not the first violation, and Scatterboo would be a second violation. That would not be cool. Hopefully this all just falls under the umbrella of the first violation. Let's hope, right? So it would be just like a little slap on a little fine, Okay, I'm sure Mr. Mara's wouldn't be happy about dishing out that money or whatever, but yeah, that's all it requires. Okay, instead of losing a draft pick or anything like that. Okay, and hopefully we all learned a huge lesson: stay away from the blue tent during a concussion protocol. Stay away. Right. The club employee or other member of the club medical staff knowingly and materially fails to follow a mandatory step of the game day checklist, the club and the individual violating the protocol will be subject to discipline as set forth in the CBA. In addition, a club employee or other member of the club medical staff knowingly, willfully, and materially interfering with or preventing a concussion examination shall constitute a violation of the NFL concussion game day checklist and will subject the club to discipline. Discipline may include reprimand, remedial training, fines, and the loss of draft picks if it is determined that competitive considerations motivated the club's failure to comply with the protocol. Daboll said he apologized to the doctor, which was fine and all of that, but the foul was already committed. Giants co-owner and team president John Mara, who was on the NFL's Health and Safety Committee, said that he addressed the incident with his coach. I spoke to Coach Daboll this morning about approaching the medical tent last night, Mara said in a statement. While I firmly believe, as he has stated, that he was not trying to influence the process in any way, he understands that the appearance of going to the tent is inappropriate. We have protocols in place as a league to ensure player safety, and we need to allow our medical staff to execute those protocols without interference. We understand the situation is under review by the NFL and the NFL Players Association, and obviously we will cooperate fully. So once again, hopefully this is just, hopefully we'll slap on the wrist and, we can get maybe just a fine out of it. Okay, we'll get a fine out of it. But, I said it's a draft pick or draft picks. Now, it's going to be interesting to see because, obviously, apparently two people, right, went into the tent, right? It was, at different times, right? So you had Coach went in there, and then, of course, Scatterbo poked his head in there, too. So this is something we're going to have to wind up keeping an eye on, right? Hopefully that wasn't two incidences. Hopefully this is all, this with Dart going in there, hope that it just falls under one, and hopefully we get, maybe they might have some type of training or reprimand or a fine, but let's hope not, because the Giants could use all the draft picks they can get, right? Even if it's a later round pick, get some good quality depth at a position. The Giants could use some good depth at many positions, right? So if we lost like a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick, that could, that's not too good, right? So, but hopefully we all wind up learning from it, right? And hopefully next time somebody goes into concussion protocol, right? Hopefully Brian Daboll will stay away. Right? So the Giants apparently, well, I guess in a way, good, right? They have called teams for receiver help. Very, very good. Okay, so you're not exactly sure, what the Giants are going to want to try to do. Are they going to just try for some help to help out the team a little bit, or how far are they willing to go? The thing is that you want to get, so you have to trade away some assets, but then you have to bring a guy on, and then you have to start carrying a salary. It's going to be interesting to see, because the Giants have some money next season. But let's not forget, the Giants got quite a few free agents at the end of the season that they might want to bring back, right? And I forgot all about it. DJ Davidson, forgot about him, right? Belton. We got quite a few guys on the defensive side of the ball, right? We got the Flat, we got Belton, we got McFadden, we got DJ Davidson, right? And then you got the other one is Wandale Robinson. So we got, None of those guys are going to break the bank. Right, to be fair. Wando's going to want some money, but he's not going to get 20, 25 million. I'm not exactly sure what his get, but it's not going to be something that's going to break the bank. Mike and McFadden's going to want, obviously, right? But he's not going to break the bank either. But I mean, if we can bring back Belton, I hope. Flott's out playing Banks, right? So you want to bring him back? I mean, once again, he's not going to be getting $20 million a season, but he's going to want to get some money, right? And DJ Davidson, he's not going to get require a lot. That's if they bring him back. We don't know. I mean, we just brought in a whole bunch of defensive tackles here. We just drafted Darius Alexander as well too. So you can always, it would be good, I think, if they drafted somebody else up the middle. The Giants could use, like in the draft, like two guys outside and something up the middle, meaning they need another weapon, another wide receiver, or they can find a really good tight end weapon-wise, right? But if not, they need a wide receiver. They could also use cornerback help, right? Because I'm not so sure what's going on with Banks. First round pick, and I'm sure they're not picking up his fifth-year option. You can guarantee that, right? So, but they can use a cornerback, right? They need a wide receiver, and then they could use something up the middle. Like they need the guards, or they seem like their weakest link. Right? GVR is not coming back. I don't know. I mean, if GVR is like, maybe one of their weaker links, if not the weakest link, maybe so far. Runyon's had some issues too, but I mean GVR, But if Evan Neal can't beat out GVR, it's like, So we could use a guard. We could probably use a guard, right? Somebody up the middle, and then we could probably use somebody up the middle as well too, on the defensive side, either a tackle or maybe another inside linebacker, somebody like that, somebody up the middle. Right. So, but, so we got some money, okay, next year, but not a ton. But I said, but we're going to start bringing some of our own free agents back. It's going to cost a little bit of money. In 2 years, we'll have a boatload of money. We will have quite a bit of money in 2 years. So, so we'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be interesting to see, what the Giants wind up doing, in the receiver area, right? As far as making a trade or something like that. Interesting to say, right? Because, are they just trying to help get through the season, right? We'll bring in this guy. He's all right. He's not bad. We'll bring him in. Well, maybe we'll trade around a 6th-round pick for him. We'll bring him in. He's all right. He'll get us through the season. But he's nothing super special. Are they going to try to go for somebody really, because, Denver has a very good secondary. Very good secondary. They got a very good defense. So it's going to be a challenge here in the next 2 weeks, right? Obviously, because might be a whole different ball game when we go play in Philadelphia. A little bit of a different ball game. Okay, so sooner or later there's going to be a time, unfortunately, quite possibly, where our lack of receiver depth is going to shine through. Now, we made a few plays here. Hey, I hope we run the table. Right, let's do it, baby. Right, but if you want to be fair, right, there's nobody on our current roster that keeps any defensive coordinators up at night. Oh my God, Dalen Cambry, how are we going to stop that guy? Darius Slayton with his pulled hamstring, how are we going to stop that guy? Or Jalen Hyatt, the Blitnikoff Award winner, how are we going to stop? There's nobody keeping anybody awake. Right, so we're going to need somebody. But at least the Giants, okay, they've been calling around. Latest trade buzz all but confirms the Giants are eyeing major roster shakeup. The old Rolodex is getting put to good use. Yeah. Shane's made some, he's done a little bit of wheeling and dealing. So let's see what we got here. Giants are likely living up to their mini bye week. Big Blue is sitting pretty after defeating the Eagles and watching the Cowboys defense fail to fight their way out of a wet paper bag, falling to the Carolina Panthers. Life is good. And in this article, it doesn't even have, obviously, the fact that the Commanders lost as well, too. So the Giants are 1 game behind the Commanders. Commanders are 3-3. Cowboys, I think, are 2-3-1. So the Giants are only like half a game, I guess, behind the Cowgirls. The Giants should have beat the Cowgirls, but they're only like half a game behind the Cowgirls, 1 game behind the Commanders, and 2 games behind the Eagles. So this is a big game here. Big game. But it's still not perfect, at least not currently. Superstar Malik Neighbors is out for the season with a torn ACL, while Darius Slayton is battling a nagging hamstring injury. So to say the cup board is a bit barren for rookie quarterback Jaxson Dart would be a horrific understatement. Yep. According to some of the NFL's finest insiders, assistance could be on the way. The trade deadline is right around the corner, but no one has to remind the Giants general manager Joe Schoen. Per Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, the G-men have been picking up the phone, sniffing around for potential wide receiver upgrades to help Big Blue down the stretch. Giants are exploring the wide receiver market with trade deadline approaching. The G-men are throwing out and winning games with Wan'Dale Robinson, Little Jordan Humphrey, Jalen Hyatt, and Bo Collins. And that's, then we got Theo Johnson, right? Chris Manhertz, Daniel Bellinger. It's like, let me know if any of these guys scare you. Right? It's equally as sad as it is impressive. However, it's unlikely their recent success is sustainable. Nope. With this core. Per Rappaport and Garafolo, help could be on the way. The Giants have called teams for receiver help after losing Malik Neighbors to a season-ending knee injury. But as always, at this time of year, teams are hesitant to part with good contributing players. I can't blame them. I mean, it's a passing league, and you're gonna give up on, Now the thing is, some teams might be getting ready to throw the towel in, and they might be, this guy's coming up on a contract extension, or this guy wants is due for a big contract or something like that. We're trying to rebuild. Give us a couple draft picks for this guy. You can have him right this year on the cheap, and then next year you're going to have to pay the guy big bucks or something. So we're going to have to wait and see. But firstly, this is a great sign for Giant fans. The fact that this team isn't sitting on its hands waiting for internal guys to magically figure things out is a great sign that complacency has no place here. That's a subtle indication of organizational competence, which is refreshing after, only the past decade plus. Secondly, everyone and their mother understood Big Blue's receiving room is wide receiver light. I like it. Yep. Head coach Brian Daboll wants to properly develop his rookie quarterback. Getting him adequate help would go a long way. You got that right. As for who could be of interest, ESPN's Adam Schefter listed a few players whose names could be in the rumor mill before the November 4th deadline. So, we've got a couple weeks, right? Chris Olave of the Saints, Shaheed of the Saints, so I have to basically, and Brandon Cook of the Saints. So apparently, after Saints, the whole Saints wide receiving group, I guess, apparently, according to them. Jacoby Myers from the Raiders, Alan Lazard of the Jets, and Tyler Lockett of the Titans. And I think that Lockett, he's been around for a while. So I don't know, but not the same. Aside from Olave, those might not be the sexiest names, but they could bring a bit more juice than, say, Hyatt or Collins. What New York's front office would be willing to pony up in terms of capital is the question, which is true. And the thing is, it's like, what do they want to part in way of capital? But then, obviously, if they're going to have the guy, do they want to keep these guys going forward? Or are they just like a rent the receiver, right? Like they bring in Tyler Lockett, right? The guy's been around for a little while. What are they going to pony up to get the guy, bring him here? And are they going to try to entice him to stay around going forward. Right? Now, he would certainly be a fantastic, veteran to have on a team. So we'll have to wait and see. But apparently, he's got 3 Saints wide receivers that might be available. Let's see. The Giants sit dead last in available cap space, though, making it nearly impossible to swing for the fences with a big name anyway. Of course, there are other options. Steelers practice squad receiver and former Giant Isaiah Hodgins is an option. Recently released former 18th overall pick Treylon Burks. I did a video on last week. Is ready to go, although he comes with a massive red flags. Even if Odell Beckham Jr. reunion could be on the table, but his 6-game PED suspension severely limits his availability for right now. It'll be interesting to see, but one thing's for certain, the G-men are going out swinging. It's not every day you see a 2-4 team acting like more of a buyer than a seller. But when the rookie quarterback wins 2 out of its first 3 starts, the conversation changes. Go get the guy. Go get a guy and gas it up. I like that. That's funny. But the Giants did also. They added the Juice. They added Juice Wells to the practice squad. So they got a few guys on. They have the list here. They have the practice squad list here. No, they don't. But they got a couple guys, obviously wide receivers on the practice squad. But where are we at here? Wells was signed with the team as an undrafted free agent after this year's draft and then received $259,000 in guaranteed money, played his college ball at Ole Miss with current Giants starting quarterback Jaxson Dart. The receiver caught 6 of 7 pass targets in 3 preseason games for 24 yards and no touchdowns. Then they brought in, let's see here, who they? Linebacker Jonas Griffith. Okay. The Giants have added 2 players to their practice squad to fill the 2 openings they had after signing Jude McEnany and linebacker Neville Hewitt to the 53-man roster on last Thursday. So they brought in Juice Wells Jr. and Jonas Griffith, linebacker. Griffith, who's 6'4", 250 pounds, nice size for a linebacker, signed with the 49ers as an undrafted free agent in 2020. He also had a brief offseason stint with the Colts that year before landing back with the 49ers toward the end of 2020 and into 2021. Griffith was most recently with the Broncos, for whom he played during the 2021 to 2023 seasons. He spent the 2023 season on injured reserve with a torn ACL suffered in practice. Griffith was with the Broncos during the 2024 training camp, but was released as part of the final roster cuts. He then underwent a second procedure on his ACL and missed the entire 2024 season while recovering. The linebacker who worked out for the Giants last month has 92 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception in 22 career games with 12 starts, all with Denver, whom the Giants visit this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see. But at least the Giants, they're not sitting, okay, they're not sitting around, right, waiting for something to happen. Or they're going out. But I said, there's all different kinds of ways of looking at it. I said, the Giants don't necessarily have a lot of money. They ain't got much money at all. They got a little bit. How much little? They're the worst as far as cap space in the entire NFL, right? So there's a really good chance somewhere along the line, because we got 11 games left to go, right? Somewhere along the line, right? Because you got practice squad elevations and stuff. It costs some money, right? Not a ton, but it costs. But when you only got apparently like a little over $1 million left, sooner or later, there's a good chance they're going to have to restructure somebody's contract, bring some money, right? Now that if they were to do that within the next couple of weeks, right, free up some money, right, have some money, they can maybe go out and because also the one thing too, let's not forget, is obviously a couple more weeks from now, right? And some of these teams that stink, like the Raiders, the Jets, maybe the Saints, some of these teams, who else did he have on there? right? The seven guys there. We're getting. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. The Raiders, the Jets, the Titans, who we're going to be talking about just in a few minutes here, and the Saints. All teams that just pretty much stink. Okay, so the thing is, it's kind of like a couple more weeks goes by. I mean, the Jets are what 0-6. A couple more weeks, they're going to be 0-8. I mean, yeah, they're eliminated right now. They just don't know it, or it hasn't been official. Give them 2 more weeks, it'll be almost officially eliminated for playoff contention. Right? Apparently, was it Dan Orlovsky? I think they said it's a shame because he said they're with Wilson, their wide receiver, they're just like totally wasting his career. I mean, Orlovsky said he looked at the tape, the game between the Broncos and the Jets, and he said, Justin Fields is dropping back to pass. I mean, he's this guy's hanging all over him. I mean, as far as sacking, he got sacked 74 times. I mean, so you can't maybe blame it all on him, but some of them maybe you can, because Dan Orlovsky's like, Wilson's open. He's like, and they're not throwing the ball. I mean, so it's a shame that, I mean, it's like they're just wasting the guy's career. Now it's, said that we're talking about Lazard possibly from the Jets maybe becoming available. I said, but you give another couple of weeks go by, and these teams are darn near almost totally out of playoff contention, right? They might be a little more willing to do a little bit of wheeling and dealing before the November 4th. What's today? Today's the 14th. 17, 18, 19, 20. So you got 3 more weeks, right? Okay, so I guess the 4th is on a Tuesday. So you got basically 3 weeks. So you got 3 more weeks. You got 3 more games. A lot of these teams, these bad teams in those 3 weeks are going to have at least 2 more, if not 3 more losses, and they'll be almost pretty much out of it, right? I mean, you figure the Jets could possibly be 0. I mean, that just, I mean, I thought the Giants were bad. I do say a little prayer for the Jets. I mean, good defense. It's just that, wow, that's bad. That's some bad football. I thought the Giants were bad. Jets got them beat, right? So I said, you figure in a couple more weeks, maybe some of these teams that are almost out of it might be a little more, willing to do a little wheeling and dealing. Well, so the problem is that you got like another 3 weeks go by. If they say the Giants were to rack up another 3 losses, now we're 2-7. Are we really? Do we want to, go out and trade away draft picks for a rent-a receiver? So it's a tricky situation. If we're going to go out and spend draft picks or trade a draft pick away to get a receiver in, that's somebody. Ain't no rent a receiver. If we're trading a draft pick, we have envisions upon this guy becoming a New York Giant for quite a while, especially if it's a new quarterback. I said the Giants need, you got, obviously Slayton, Wandale, and Malik Neighbors. And after that, Humphrey did okay. He had a nice catch here and all there, but I mean, after that, it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting the Giants team to be perfect, right? Got a long way to go here, right? We're not perfect. We certainly have all kinds of, we have holes that need to be filled, and good quality depth at the wide receiver position certainly is one of those, right? So if the Giants were to make a trade, right, to help the receiving group, right, with somewhere within the next 3 weeks, hopefully it's somebody that they bring in who will become a Giant, right, permanently, right? I don't like that rent the receiver thing where you trade away a 5th round pick and you get a receiver for the rest of the season. Then after the season's over with, he's gone and your 5th round pick is gone. All right. So Andrew Thomas, right? He's talking about that. This is special. The pass rush, Denver, it's very special. They have 30 sacks already. I think the Giants have 12. Giants are on pace for 34 sacks. Okay, now to be fair, now the Giants do have a lot of pressures. According to PFF, there's all kinds of. I'll show you in just a minute here and all and everything. But between Bernsey, Kayvon, and Carter, all 3 of those guys have over 20 pressures already. Okay. Sexy has 10, I think, 10 pressures, according to PFF. Right. But I mean, Sexy's getting double teamed all the time. And the fact that he has 10 pressures is still pretty good. Right. That's why the Giants could use somebody else up the middle. So another good defensive tackle would be fantastic. Really, really fantastic. Get somebody next to Sexy. But anyway, I mean, this pass rush is really special. I was listening to Big Blue Kickoff Live today, right? And they're on from Monday through Friday. Their shows change. Sometimes it's on at like 1 o'clock. Sometimes it's on like 2 o'clock. But it's on Monday through Friday every day. If you can't catch them live, I watch them on YouTube or later on. I don't watch them live, listen to them live. I watch them later on in the afternoon. But Lance Meadow, he brought up the fact, I don't know where he got the stat from. He didn't say. And he didn't say who the other team was, I don't think. But he said since 1990, okay, the Broncos right now, after 6 games, have 30 sacks. 5 sacks a game. 17, 34, 60. It's on pace for 85 sacks. Okay. So after 5 games, they had 30 sacks. No, 6 games. 6 games, I'm sorry. 36, 5 sacks a game. Of course, they had 9 sacks against the Jets, so that does help. Right? That's the way usually. It's not like every game you get 5 sacks. No, it's one game you get 9, then you get 2, then you get 7, then you get 3, then you get 7, then you get 4. You know what I mean? But he said since 1990, so we're going back like 35, 36 years, there's only been 2 teams that after 6 games have had 30 sacks. He didn't mention who, or if he did, I wasn't paying attention. So, I mean, the Broncos are on a nice little pace here, right? And you can see the one thing was it was kind of like it was like sharks feeding in blood infested waters, right? They knew if they sent 37 guys on every play at Justin Field, they knew they were going to get home. I mean, because he would just get he'd drop back, he'd have like half a second, and he just starts dropping his head and just looking for help and all. They were flying all over the freaking place. It was some tough football to watch. I mean, if you like defense, but this, I mean, according to PFF, I'll show you. I'll show you right now. They have like 150. I think it was 152 sacks. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, I got 3,000 tabs open up here. So let me see if I can find this here. So they got, all right, here we go. Here's the Denver pass rush, according to PFF, right? So, right. Now they don't do half sacks, right? So this guy here, I think he has 8. He has 8 sacks, right? Burns, he has 7, right? But he has 8. But according, see, it's a bit misleading. Let's see, what do we got here? See here, that's what I'm saying. See, sacks. See, they don't do half sacks, so they have them with 35 sacks. Well, apparently they got 30, right? So they don't do half sacks. So they never do half sacks. I don't know, right? But they got 12 different guys who have at least half a sack. 12, right? Now you'll note here, right? Total pressure is 152. I'm not so sure how correct that is or whatever. If you go maybe to next gen stats or something, there might be a little bit different. But Zach Allen here, right? He is 24. Jonah Ellis, I hope I said his name right. He's got 10. Franklin Myers has got 16. Jonathan Cooper, he's got 27. Stranad, or whatever, Stranad, I'm not sure. Justin Stranad, he's got 10. Benito, he's got 29. So they got what? 6 guys? They got 6 guys, according to PFF, who have double digits in pressures, okay? They got, a lot of guys, right? A lot of guys, they got one. This guy here is pass rush, right? Right, pass rush win rate, I guess what it is. PRP. Where are we at? Where's the key here? Let's go to PRP. Let's find PRP. A formula that combines sacks, hits, and hurries relative to how many times they rush the passer. PRP. Okay. Right. So, needless to say, if your PRP is in double digits, that's pretty good. I mean, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 6 guys, 6, 7 guys, 7 guys. Right. Who are they're PRP. So I mean, right. So. Right. So, I mean, the Broncos have an elite pass rush. As I said, they have 152 pressures. Let me share my screen here with the Giants. I mean, the Giants have, I think it's like 120, I think it is. So the Giants are, certainly no slouches by any stretch of the imagination. Right. Okay, so what do we got here? Yeah. Okay. See Abdul Carter, according to PFF. See Abdul Carter's got 1 sack. He only has half a sack. Right. So they don't have half sacks. Right. So the Giants here, they got 12. Right. But and here Burns has 7 sacks. Here they only have him with 6. So I don't know what's going on there. But if you'll notice here, right, Kayvon's got 22 pressures. Burns has got 23. Carter's got 24, right? And Sexy's got 10. Roy Robinson Harris has got 6. Darius Alexander's up to 5. Okay. So, See, the nice thing about this, right, is look, Darius Alexander, has been in 70 pass rushes. And according to PFF, right, he has 5. Right, so he has 5 pressures out of 70. Okay. So in a normal game, that say there's like 35 passes. That means Darius Alexander every game would have about 2.5 pressures if he played the whole game, or at the rate he's going. Right, so that's not too bad. Okay, but you see our 3 big rushers, right? But we got, let's see, as a whole team, 112. I'm sorry. So according to, once again, exactly, how they get a pressure, or that, you go to different, probably Next Gen Stats has different stats. PFF has different stats. So the Giants have 112 pressures according to PFF, but Denver has 152. So they are on the elite level. All right, the Giants it's going to be this is probably going to be one of those games where it's like the turnovers are going to be huge. If you fumble a strip sack, right? Fumble and pick it up, or just lose a fumble or throw an interception. That stuff's going to really be huge, because as you see, like. Neither team is like really setting the world off. Well, the Broncos, right? The Giants have actually had a couple of games. I mean, we've actually had 2 games where we've scored over 30 points. Remember that long streak we went without scoring 30 points in the game? Well, we got 2 of those, right, in this season. So we can put up some points, okay? But, this is, their secondary is very good. Their pass rush is very good. Chances of us putting up 30 points in this game strictly by our offense is going to be chances of that happening are going to be slim and none. I can't see us walking. I mean, unless Bo Nix throws a pick 6 and we run a punt back for a touchdown or something like that. Other than that, I can't see our offense putting up 30-something points against the Broncos here. Their defense is very, very good. They've only given up, I think, 95 points. Let's take a look here. I think it was 95 points. Let's see here. 2025 Denver Broncos. All right, let me okay. So they've given up 95 points. They're giving up 15.8 points. Like they give up 16 points a game. which is second in the whole league. They score 21.7. So, they're not setting the world on fire offensively, right? So they're 21.7, which is 20th. But their defense only giving up 16 points a game. We're on the road, hostile territory, loud atmosphere. Not quite as loud as inside the Superdome, though, but it's going to be loud, okay? Let's see here. To be fair, Danny Dimes, but this was in Indianapolis. Danny Dimes put up, and the Colts put up 29. The Chargers put up 23. But other than that, against the Titans, who just fired their coach, right? Titans only scored 12 points. The Cincinnati Bengals, without a quarterback, basically, put up 3 points. The Eagles only scored 17 points. Now, the Eagles were winning at halftime. The Eagles had 17 points at halftime, I think it was, in that game. Right? Nope, my bad. I do apologize. The Eagles were winning 10-3 at halftime. The Eagles were winning 17-3 after 3 quarters. And then the Broncos came back and put up 18 points in the final quarter. So the Broncos defense held the Eagles only 17 points at home. Right, and the Eagles didn't get a lot of yards in that game either. The Eagles had 16 first downs. They had 302 yards of offense. They ran the ball 11 times for 45 yards. So, matter of fact, they sacked Jalen Hurts 6 times. So between the Eagle game and the Jet game, they've had 15 sacks in the past 2 games. So, the Giants going to need to be on their P's and Q's. I mean, you can't let these guys get on. You can't can't be another 7 or 8 sack performance against it. I mean, that's just going to, Both defenses have the advantage in this game. Okay, both defenses. Right now, it's going to be interesting to see, right, which defense steps up the most. But that very good defense. And even Andrew Thomas was talking about this here, right? Andrew Thomas reveals the one Broncos strength New York must be ready for to win in Week 7. Giants are aiming to string back-to-back victories together in Week 7 as they travel to Denver to face the Broncos. Following their exhilarating win on Thursday Night Football, the mentality from the fan base is that this franchise can capably upset teams like the Broncos if they play their physical brand of football. However, they'll need to be effectively prepared to counter an elite Denver defense this week. Star left tackle Andrew Thomas shared today that the Giants need to be ready for chaos. Yep. Obviously, one of the most talented defenses in the league, Thomas told reporters. They have a lot of guys up front that create havoc. And they play really well in the back end as well. I think their coordinator puts them in great positions to make plays. Broncos are on an elite stretch this season with how they're attacking opposing quarterbacks. So far, they've registered an NFL best 30 sacks, which is more than double what the Giants have. They've also generated 105 quarterback pressures, which is second best in the league behind the Seahawks, who have 106. Now, I don't know, how they, figure that out. I said, you go to pressures, you go to PFF, they have like 150. So somehow another metric they go to has them with 105 quarterback pressures. And Seattle's 106. So. Thomas was direct in acknowledging that the toughest pass rush unit in the NFL will challenge the Giants' offensive line. He revealed how they must prepare for the matchup. For us up front, we just got to trust our technique, Thomas stated. It's a tough environment to play in, so communication is going to be important when in early downs to avoid some of those 3rd and long situations. Absolutely. Yeah, man, it's going to be tough. Thomas will be tasked with holding off the most productive pass rusher in the NFL for now in Broncos, Nick Bonito. Through 6 games, Bonito leads the NFL with 8 sacks. He also has a whopping 34 pressures on 130 pass rush reps. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. 34 pressures. So even Abdul Carter, as good as he is and all that, and Burns, they only got 23 and 24 pressures. This guy has 10 more than they do. With the upcoming brutal battle, Thomas dug into what he knows makes Bonito so dangerous. I would say first is his explosiveness. He does a really good job getting off the ball. While facing Bonito would be tough for most offensive tackles, it should be another chance for Thomas to flex why he's a top left tackle in the league. One could even argue that it should be Bonito who should be worried in this game, considering he's allowed that Thomas has allowed no sacks and only 2 pressures since returning from injury. If Thomas can help evaluate his teammates, there is a legit shot for the Giants to upset Denver and continue their streak as Giant killers. So, well, yeah, we're going to certainly have to wait and see. They got the work cut out for them. Definitely have the work cut out. Especially, it's all the whatever you want to call it, the common sense stuff. Don't jump off sides. Don't make a 2nd and 6 into a 2nd and 11 because you jumped offside because you didn't hear a snap or you whatever. Anything. Protect the football. If they're going to score, let them march down the field. Okay, if they go whatever, 12 plays, 80 yards, you tip your cap to them. Great job, guys. Great job. Way to go, Broncos. Right? You can't give up a home run ball. Like the one with Devontae Smith. Remember, he was open like about 35 yards behind the Giants secondary. And somehow Jalen Hurts, apparently, according to some people, is like the greatest quarterback of all time, overthrew him by like 15 yards. I mean, you can't do that, right? You can't give up these 80, what was it, the 87-yard play that we had against the Saints? The long run against Hampton, right? Against the Chargers. You got to limit those small plays, right? Let them march down the field, right? Let them execute a 12, 13, 14 play drive all the way down the field. Don't give them a short field. No fumbles, no interceptions. Obviously, it's a lot easier said than done, right? Because, being at home, being on the road is 2 different animals, right? At least for the Giants, okay, the weather should be, it shouldn't be snowing. It shouldn't be 25 degrees out or anything like that. So, should be okay to play football. But, it's going to be tough. Really, really tough. And the Giants is a big challenge for the Giants' offensive line. Really. So, and they got a chance. They got a chance. I mean, the Broncos can be beaten. Right? They can be beaten. But that's why you play the games. You never know. All right. Well, Kafka to the Titans. Well, possibly. Not right now, but possibly maybe after the season. Who knows, right? Because they just fired their head coach, they're not doing too well, right? The one problem is that because they just drafted Ward, right? So whoever the new coach is that comes in, right, is going to be like, hey, all right, hey, welcome. You're the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Congratulations. And by the way, that's your quarterback. I mean, probably nobody's going to say, oh, that's, I don't want, it seems like he, quite possibly could be their quarterback in the future, but it's one of those things, it's like, when Daboll came in here, congratulations, Mr. Daboll, you're the new coach. And by the way, Daniel Jones is your quarterback. And he's like, that's not my guy. It's not my guy, so. But Tennessee's done a little bit of a shakeup, and this is the second season there, and they really haven't really. I mean, I think they had one obviously bad season with Vrabel. I think they were really, really injured, really bad. A lot of injuries, and they let Vrabel go. And now, what's Vrabel doing with the Patriots, who've sucked for so long? Oh yeah, they're doing pretty good, huh? So maybe they should have kept Vrabel. Huh? It is what it is, but let's go over this. Could the Titans be eyeing Giants Assistant head coach / offensive coordinator Mike Kafka for head coaching vacancy. Ooh. Mike Kafka interviewed for the Titans head coaching job once before. Ooh. Only to lose out to Brian Callahan. Ooh. Good choice. Good choice, Titans. Who was relieved of his duties on Monday. 6 weeks into the NFL. Didn't take long, did it? 6 weeks. 6 weeks into the NFL season, we have the first dismissal of a head coach. Tennessee Titans relieved head coach Brian Callahan of his duties on Monday after a 4-19 record spanning just over one season. So, what, 3 and I guess? Yeah. He was tied with the Giants, right? Yeah, they were 3-14, right, last year. So, 3-14, 3-14, yeah. 3-14. Mike McCoy will take over as the interim head coach. After the season, the Titans are set to conduct yet another search for a permanent head coach, and one such candidate who is likely to get a call after the season is none other than New York Giants assistant head coach, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. Kafka actually interviewed for the Titans job the last time Tennessee had a vacancy. The Titans went with Callahan. But things are much different, and Kafka, who has dabbed in head coaching with the college all-star games, could become an even hotter candidate after the season, given his work with the Giants rookie quarterback Jaxson Dart. Now, let's not forget, right? Kafka was there with some guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, right? He was there with some guy by the name of Jaxson Dart, right? Now, and of course, Tennessee next season would be the second-year quarterback Ward, right? So, Titans, remember, have a rookie quarterback of their own in Cam Ward. And of the 3 rookie quarterbacks drafted this year who have at least 90 dropbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Ward being the other 2, Dart leads the group in key passing stats such as completion rate, 65.9%. Of course, and we have no wide receivers. Yards per attempt at 6, and we have no wide receivers. Touchdowns and with 4. And once again, we have no wide receivers. So, Ward, meanwhile, has struggled. He's thrown for 1,100 yards and 202 attempts, whereas Dart has thrown for 508 yards and 85 attempts. Besides his work in developing Dart, Kafka himself, as a former NFL quarterback, was also part of Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes' career, adding another feather to his cap. Giants offense with Kafka as the play caller this year is currently averaging 20.2 points per game and is ranked 18th overall at 328 yards per game, tied for 9th in rushing, 126 yards per game, and 17th in passing at 202 yards per game. And once again, we don't have any wide receivers. Or we do, but we don't have anybody that scares you. It's believed that this is the final year of Kafka. It is the final year of Kafka's contract with the Giants. So if Kafka, who this is the bad, right? The bad of it was that Kafka is working with Dart. Offense don't look too bad this year. Once again, if we ever get another wide receiver in here, hey, who knows? Maybe we can score even some more points, right? But we need more depth at the wide receiver position. Period. End of story. Boom. Period. We need somebody else, right? For a long time we've been thinking that we need a quarterback. Hopefully we got the quarterback. Now, the other question, we've always needed. Well, we need a number 1 wide receiver. We've got neighbors. Well, now the other thing, now we need a number 2 wide receiver. Number 2 is what we need next year, unless they're going to trade for one this year. That's what we need next year. So when Dart goes under the center next year, we got the dog neighbors over here. We got another dog over here. We need somebody. Got to have somebody. I got to have 2 guys, right? So Kafka's, actually averaging over 20 points. Oh my goodness, 20 points. And of course, you figure if we didn't turn the ball over 842 times against the Saints, we kept moving. We kept moving, right? We would have scored more points in that game. We'd be over 20 points a game. We'd be at 21, 22, 23. I don't know what would be at, but So it's and the thing is also he's been Kafka. He's been around once with Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? And Patrick Mahomes is doing all right for himself, right? Okay. So, but can he? Is he maybe in two different positions, right? Like we did with, maybe he's there with Mahomes. Now maybe he's doing it with Dart, maybe, right? So he's got some fingerprints on Dart as well, too. So maybe there's something to this guy, right? We'll have to wait and see. But so if we don't lose him to somebody, right? If we were to bring him back, hey, he's an asset, certainly an asset. If we don't want him to get right, if we don't let him go, right? But it's believed that this is the final year of Kafka's contract. If Kafka, who is of Puerto Rican descent, were to be hired by another club as a head coach, the Giants could be awarded 2 third-round compensatory picks, one in 2026 and one in 2027, under the expanded Rooney Rules parameters. So the Giants, traded away, a third-round pick next season, I believe it is, for Dart. So if we were to get a 2026 compensatory pick, right, next year's draft, that would, of course, the compensatory picks are at the end of the round, but still, hey, sign me up, right? But we might get 2 if he gets signed away as a head coach to another team. We would get 2, possibly 2 third-round compensatory picks. One of that, so that would be, so you can figure maybe 2027, we might have 2 third-round picks. Ooh, a first, a second, and maybe 2 thirds. Nice, very, very nice. So either way, there's a good chance, and with all the interviews he's had, there's a good chance, especially if Dart is successful this season, especially if the Giants offense actually scores over 20 points, with him calling plays, right, with no wide receivers, and we're scoring over 20 points a game, and Dart's doing really good and all that, he's going to become a hot commodity. So if it's not for the Titans, right, somebody's probably going to take a chance on him, because the Giants apparently don't want it to be just a lateral move. They don't want to lose him. That's why they threw the assistant head coach in there. He's offensive coordinator / assistant head coach. So if he wanted to do like a lateral move, the Giants could block that, right? That's why they got this. There's like almost nothing he can do that would be lateral except for being a head coach. If he's going to be a head coach someplace, there's nothing they can do. But if it's going to be a lateral move, looks like the Giants might wind up blocking him. But the thing is here, is where we at here. Mike Borgonzi, he is the GM of the Titans. Now, he was with the Chiefs since 2009. From 2009 to 2024. In 2024, he was the assistant general manager of the Chiefs. So he was with the Chiefs for about 15 years, 16 seasons. So he was there for a while. But with Kafka, Kafka obviously was with the Chiefs in 2017. He was the offensive quality control coach. 2018 and 19, he was the quarterback coach with some guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, possibly you've heard of, right? 2020, 2021, he was the quarterback coach and the passing game coordinator, right? And then 2022 and 2023, he became the offensive coordinator. So he was never the offensive coordinator over there. But so he was with the Chiefs from 2017 to 2021. So he was with the Chiefs for 5 seasons. But the whole 5 seasons he was there, the guy Borgonzi, who was with the Chiefs, was there as well. So they're really, really familiar with one another. So that's why you keep hearing these stories that there's a chance, and especially because Kafka did interview for the Titans job before, he just didn't want to get it. So this season, I said, it's a big season for Kafka. All things I hear, this is his last season on his contract. Now, if he doesn't get another head coaching job, or if he doesn't get a head coaching job, not another, he doesn't get a head coaching job, hopefully maybe the Giants can bring him back, re-sign him, right? But it's a big season for him, because the development of Dart and and the development of the Giants offense with him calling plays with no wide receivers is going to be huge too, right? But there's a good chance that, Kafka sooner or later is going to go bye-bye. But as I said, it would be absolutely fantastic if we were, obviously you hate losing good quality coaches, but him being Puerto Rican descent, if he would have become a head coach of another team, the Giants would possibly not get one, but possibly 2 third-round compensatory picks. That would be huge. All right, and sometimes I tell you what, guys, it's just a small world after all, right? The Giants have Joe Judge to thank. Come on, man. Yeah, well, it's possible, right? Because it's after Judge, left the Giants. He bounced around a little bit, but he wound up in college by maybe Ole Miss. Maybe you've heard of it, right? I can't remember. There was a stat. I can't remember what it was. There was only, what the heck was it? There was only 3 quarterbacks in history or something like that. I forgot what the stat was. From Ole Miss, 3. Okay. Who have played, I forgot what it was, like more than 50 games in the NFL or something like whatever the heck it was. And 2 of them were Giants, Eli Manning and Charlie Connelly, right? So quite possibly he would Dart, right? Knock on wood, unless he gets something bad really happens to him, right? He's going to be possibly the 4th. I can't remember exactly what the stat was. But maybe it was 10 starts in the NFL or something like that, but there has not been many quarterbacks from Mississippi, okay, who have made it long-term in the NFL, right? It was Archie Manning, Eli Manning, Charlie Connelly, I think, and Jaxson Dart, right? So, but sometimes it's a small world. There's 37,000 colleges, but right, the one college that the Giants, kept paying a lot of attention to, especially, because we needed a quarterback, was Mississippi, and wow, one of our ex-coaches just happens to be down there. Mississippi, right? And say what you want about Joe Judge, right? But he was only more than happy, apparently, to be helpful to the New York Football Giants to help them out with their quarterback search, right? And he was given 2 thumbs up to Jaxson Dart. So, right, all right, where are we at here? Is this it? Bum, 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 bum. Oh, let me go to this one here. All right. Joe Judge helped New York Giants with their pre-draft scouting on Jaxson Dart. I mean, it's, it just goes to, now it does, obviously, it doesn't mean because he was a New York Giant, that was an ex-Giant coach. That's what, whoever was down there would have helped the Giants with Jaxson Dart. So I'm just not saying, the reason why it was because of Joe Judge. No, but it's just funny because we got our quite possibly our quarterback of the future from the college, and I think one of the guys down there just happened to be an ex-Giant head coach. Well, actually, it was funny because it was the coach. Daboll took his job. Maybe didn't take his job. He got fired that, but he's the one who replaced him. You know what I mean? So, but apparently Judge was only more than happy to be very helpful to the New York Football Giants. So, in a twist of fate, former New York Giants head coach Joe Judge emerged as an unlikely ally in the team's quest for quarterback Jaxson Dart. As a senior assistant at Ole Miss during Dart's standout 2024 season, Judge gained an intimate view of the signal caller's mechanics, mindset, and meteoric rise. I'm sorry. Judge's expertise proved invaluable when the Giants delved into pre-draft evaluations. Diana Rossini of The Athletic reports that the Giants meticulously scouted every top quarterback prospect. Yet their sessions on Dart invariably concluded on a high note. Giants head coach Brian Daboll and front office executive emerging with a unanimous verdict. He checks every box. Okay. This glowing consensus wasn't a mere coincidence, though. The Giants tapped directly into Judge's firsthand knowledge, leveraging his dual perspective as both a former Big Blue coach and as a Rebel insider. Believe it or not, the Giants also leaned on some unlikely help. Ole Miss assistant quarterback coach Joe Judge, the former Giants head coach, helped the team learn everything it needed to know about Dart. The Ole Miss assistant quarterback coach was the former Giants head coach. What a small world, huh? Judge, who helmed the Giants from 2020 to 2021 amid turbulent times, offered unfiltered insight into Dart's poise under pressure, arm talent, and leadership, qualities that echoed the precision Judge demands from his charges. This collaboration underscores the NFL's interconnected web where past ties fuel future gambles. As the 2025 NFL Draft loomed, Judge's endorsement may have tipped the scales, positioning Dart as the Giants' potential franchise savior. The early verdict, so far so good. Where we at here? I think this thing says kind of the same thing. Speaking of summer, several people with the Giants told me New York knew since then that Dart was the guy. They just didn't want to rush it. Before the draft, they did their homework on all the quarterbacks, but every meeting with the old Mississippi's Jaxson Dart ended the same way, with Brian Daboll and front office members walking out saying he checks every box. Believe it or not, the Giants also leaned on some unlikely help. Ole Miss the assistant quarterback coach, Joe Judge. Giants also knew they weren't alone. The Saints, the Steelers, and the Browns all had shown interest. Now, the thing is that, that was one of those things was Dart going to make it past the Saints at number 9? Was he going to make it past the Steelers, I think, at number 20? Once he made it past those two teams, that's when Shane decided to jump back into the first round and pull the trigger on the deal, right? New York tried to play it cool, but the Giants also knew Daboll's personality. Fiery, competitive, intense, and sometimes a little unhinged, was a perfect match for Dart's energy. So, I'll tell you what, it's one of those things you really start to think about, right? If he checks all the boxes, makes you think. If he checks all the boxes, if they were doing it with Ward and they were doing it with Gabriel, all these other guys, right, and Dart and Chuck and right, if he checked all the boxes, if they had the first overall pick, would they have taken Ward? Or would they have taken Carter? They had taken somebody else. Kind of interesting. You're never going to know. But, if they kept walking away with, unless maybe knowing they had the third pick and possibly knowing, right, that the Titans were taking Ward. And they were, that wasn't, they weren't going on. That was Ward. It was like the year before, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniel, they weren't moving, right? The New England Patriots, they had their guy. Those three quarterbacks were being taken. There wasn't nothing to do about it. So maybe they crossed Ward off the list because they're like, the Titans are taking Ward. We need to zone in on who's going to be the next. Who's going to be the other guy? But it makes you kind of think if they did talk to Ward and all these other quarterbacks and Dart was the one that checked all the boxes, makes you think if they had the first overall pick, who would they have taken? But thanks to in part to Joe Judge, right? Because Judge was down there, right? He's seen what he can do, right? And Joe Judge may not be a very good good head coach, but he's got a lot of knowledge up there. I mean, he wouldn't have been around New England all those years if he wasn't that smart. So, okay. Tip your cap to Joe Judge, and it just goes to show you, right? Is that there's 32 NFL teams, there's all those colleges and everything like that, but sometimes it's a small world after all. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 21 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or anybody's going to watch any replay this once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.